Now, the screen that we're looking at this time is called Outlook Today. And I like Outlook Today because it's going to show me my calendar, my tasks, and my messages all on one screen. Let me show you how you can have Outlook Today show up as soon as you go into Microsoft Outlook. It's just a convenience tool. So when you're in Outlook, you come down here and you pick on the three dots. By the way, sometimes during the session, I'll make my mouse do that so you can find my mouse that way. So I'll pick on the three dots and I'll pick on the word shortcuts. And then one of the shortcuts is called Outlook Today. So I'm going to click on that. And then you'll see what I'm looking at here. You'll see the Outlook Today. Now, if you want that to come up all the time when you go into Microsoft Outlook, here's what you do. You pick on Outlook Today, and you go over to the right, and you pick on the Customize Outlook Today. And then on this window, you click on this box where it says, when starting, go directly to Outlook Today. So that way, every time you go into Outlook, it'll show you that screen. It just kind of gives you a summary of what you're doing. You can choose the folders that will display, the number of days in your calendar, and then you can show different items for your tasks. And there's different styles of Outlook Today as well. So you can try some of this. At this point, I'm going to pick on Save Changes. So every time I go into Outlook, I see Outlook Today. It just kind of gives me a summary of what's going on. We're going to go into the Mail application, of course, and we'll pick on the Inbox. So it's starting to be towards the end of the year, and maybe you want to give yourself a fresh start for the new year. So let's talk about ways how we can manage our inbox. So understand you can sort on any one of these columns. So in all of Outlook, when you click on the column heading, then you can click on the column heading. It'll sort by that column. All right. So just remember you can sort on any column like that. Now, if I click on the column a second time, it'll sort in reverse order. So if I pick on the word received right there, that'll be the receive date. One thing that you might want to see is if there's any older emails. So if I pick on the word received a second time, now the newer ones will be at the bottom and the old ones will be up top. So I'm going to expand that column. See how I have the black cross? And then I see some are from 2017. So maybe I can delete those or make a folder for those older ones. So why don't we do that? Why don't we make a folder? So to make a folder, I'm going to there's numerous ways to make a folder. I'm going to right click on my email address over here, and I'll pick on the word new folder. So I'm going to call the folder 2017, for example. And then I'll move the ones from 2017 into that folder. So one thing that you might want to do to manage your email is to sort it by the receive date over here. And if I see some that are older, then maybe I can put those into a different folder and get them out of my inbox. Make sure that I've processed those emails. So that's one thing that we can start to do. By the way, you can pick more than one at a time. If I click on this email and then hold down my shift key, I can scroll down and then pick on this one. And now all of those are selected so I can move them all at the same time. So now remember, you can sort on any column by clicking on the column heading. Now another thing that you might want to do is sort and get rid of the ones that are larger files. So I'm going to pick on the word size right there. And then the smaller ones will be up top, and the bigger ones will be at the bottom. Now, the bigger emails are almost always the ones that have attachments. So if you notice, the size is getting bigger and bigger. And then we'll see the ones with the paper clips, of course, they have attachments. Let me give you some ideas of how to manage your attachments. So I sent this email to myself earlier today with the multiple attachments, although here's one with a single attachment. So when I have the email with the attachment, you can see how that one right now says 202 kilobytes. That's 202, let's say roughly 202,000 characters. It's starting to be pretty big there. And I'm sure what's taking up a lot of the size is the attachments. So when an email has an attachment, if I just open that, it really opens up in a temporary file. So what I might do is save that to my computer. I'm going to click on this pull down next to the attachment. By the way, before I get to that one, I want to show you something that I have that's called the reading pane. Notice how I can see the email or the contents of the email down here at the bottom. That's called the reading pane. To turn that on, I'll pick on the view menu and I'll pick on the word reading pane right over here. Now, here's what it looks like when it's off. And then I have to double click on that email to see the contents. But I'll pick on view and then reading pane. If I put it on the right, you see it over here on the right hand side. I usually like to have mine at the bottom. So I'll pick on bottom. Good. This way I could just click on that email and then see the contents of the email down here. It's a big time saver. So, okay, now we're back in that email with the attachment. I'm going to click on the pull down with the attachment. And I'm going to save the attachment file onto my computer. All right, so we'll say save as, and I'll put it onto my desktop folder, and I'll pick on save. I can even do that with this one over here. I'm going to click on the pull down, pick on save as, and then pick a folder and save it onto my computer. Now, once I've saved it to my computer, then I would get rid of the actual attachment, and that'll make your inbox a lot smaller. So at this time, I'm going to click on this pull down and I'll pick on remove attachment. Now look at the number before we did that. It's 202 kilobytes for that email. And I'm going to click on this one and do remove attachment. And I'll say remove attachment there again. Now it won't reset until I leave that email and then go back into it. So at this time, I'm going to sort it by the inbox and then sort it by the receive date. And I know that was kind of a newer email. And there it is. Remember before it was over 202 kilobytes. Now it's down to 130 kilobytes because I removed the attachments. So that's one thing that you can do. If you save the attachments to your computer and then you remove the attachments from the email, that'll make the email a lot smaller. Let's try it with this other one that says multiple attachments. Now this one is 635 kilobytes. It's starting to be very large. I want to show you a great new feature. You can now save all of the attachments in one step. Notice how I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attachment files in this email. So what I'll do is I'll click on the pull down for one of the attachments. And then I'll say save all attachments. And they're all selected there, or you can pick them as you need to. And I'm going to save those into my download folder. Now they all got saved onto my computer in one step. And now we're going to delete them in one step as well. So I'm going to click on this attachment. I'm going to hold down my shift key and pick on this last one. Now they're all selected. Now I'm going to click on this pull down and I'll say remove attachment. It's going to remove them all at the same time, as you can see. Now let's take a look at the size of that email. It went from 635 down to 45 kilobyte. So you can really see that made quite a difference. So those are great ways to manage your attachments. What I would do maybe is sort it by the size, and the larger ones are usually the ones with the attachments. As you can see, this one has an attachment. It's getting pretty big. Now, the other way you can tell which ones have an attachment is you sort by this little paper clip over there, and then all of the ones with the attachments will be either at the top or at the bottom. And then once you have that attachment, again, I'm going to click on that pull down, and I'll say save as. Or I could have said save all attachments, right, like we did. And then that'll put those onto your computer. Once they're on my computer, I can remove them from the email, and then it's going to make that email a lot smaller. So right now you can see how that one says 253 kilobytes, and that was from 9/20. So now I'm going to sort it by the receive date, and now that one went down to 59 kilobytes because we got rid of the attachment. Now, I've been showing you how to sort the email the normal way. You can just click on the column headings. Well, let's do an advanced sort. So to do an advanced sort, I'll pick on the View menu, and then you come over here and you pick on View Settings. Good. And I'll pick on the word sort. Now you can sort by up to 4 fields, okay? So let's say I want to sort it by the person who sent it to me. That's the from. And then within the person who sent it to me, I want to sort it by the receive date. You could have up to 4 sort fields, and each one can be ascending or descending independently. So we'll click on OK. And we'll click on OK again. Now, notice what happened. They're now sorted by the person who sent it to me. And then, like, here's, I actually did some work for the Department of Defense a while back. And so you see some emails that say DOD. And then within the DOD, it's sorted by the date that it was received. Let's scroll down further. And then here's some from Microsoft. So I have Office 365. That's how I get my Outlook and Excel and all the other programs. And then you can see they sent me bills. So all the ones that say Microsoft are together. And then within Microsoft, it's sorted by the date. So you can click on the column headings and sort by those. If you want to do an advanced sort, you pick on the View menu and you pick on View Settings. And then you're back to this screen. I'll pick on Sort. And then you can sort by up to 4 fields now. Now, if you want to return it back to the normal sort order, I'll say Clear All. And then we'll click on OK. Now, the normal default sort order is going to be by the receive date when it was received. Okay, now you can see the newer ones are up top and the older ones are at the bottom. Now, another thing that helps you with that is if we group the emails together. Let's turn a group on. Right now, the groups are not on. So I'll pick on the View and then View Settings. You go back to here and then we'll pick on the word Group By. So I'm going to say automatically group according to how it's sorted or by the arrangement. Otherwise, you can pick your own group fields. So let's see what's going to happen. So now let's try that again. I'll pick on View Settings, Group By. So actually, I'll uncheck that and I'll pick on the received. So even here, you can have up to 4 group levels. Now watch what it did. See the ones that say September 20th. So I can just collapse that whole section or re-expand that. So I like that feature. So in this case, let's do it by the who sent it to me. So I'll pick on View and View Settings, and for the Group By, I'll pick on the from who sent it to me. Okay, good. So now all the ones from the DoD are listed together. Now I can collapse that entire section and collapse this one. You see, it just allows me to handle all those as one big item or one big group. So I see the ones from Microsoft. I could just collapse that whole section or re-expand those. So that helps you manage your inbox as well. Now, some people like the groups and some people don't like the groups. So if you want to turn the group off again, if you want to turn the group back off, I'll pick on the View menu and I'll pick on View Settings. I'll say Group By, and then I'm going to say Clear All. That should make it so they're no longer grouped, as you can see. Personally, I'm not wild about the groups, but I know some people like to use that. That's how you can turn the groups on and off. Now, if you notice in my emails, let's go back to some of our slides and see where we are with that. So the 6 types of emails to keep out of your inbox. So I'll show you how you can turn your spam folder on. I just showed you like the ones that are maybe older, how to get rid of those. Anything that's no longer needed, maybe we'll put those into folders. I'll show you, more about the folders very soon. If it's an email that is CC'd to a lot of people and it doesn't require action by you personally, then I'll put that into a folder. If it's already been read, I'll put that into a folder, or if it does not pertain to you. So in my inbox, I try to keep the ones that I have not read yet, or things that need attention. So, when I'm handling an email, do I need to file it? Do I need to delete it? Does it need an action? Okay. Now, if it needs to be followed up on, do I need to do it now or schedule for the follow-up? And if I schedule it for follow-up, there's a way to actually remind you about that. And then where am I going to put it? Am I going to put it in the folder or delete it? So during this session today, I'll talk about these different topics. Here's a picture of the inbox. And then on this slide, I'm showing you about the reading pane. So we did view and then reading pane, right? And then in this case, the reading pane is on the right-hand side. I usually have it on the bottom. Then on the next slide, I'm talking about how to turn on the shortcuts. So what I did is I picked in the 3 dots, I picked in the word shortcuts, and then one of the shortcuts is called Outlook Today. And then I came over here and picked on Customize Outlook Today, and that's where I made it so it shows up all the time every time I go into Outlook. So I do like the Outlook Today. That slide will help you review that. And then this is what Outlook Today looks like. So let's talk more about the email. So I want to show you how you can start the flag an email for follow-up. Actually, before I do that, I want to show you one that has been coming up a lot, the conditional formatting. If I look at some of these emails, they're going to be different colors. Like, see how I just passed one that was green, and I just passed one that was green and red. So those meet a certain condition, and that's why conditional formatting is on. So let's find some other emails. Let's say if it's from the DoD, I want those to be in red, for example. Okay, so let me show you how you turn on your conditional formatting. This really helps your emails stand out so you can manage those. And that'll, once you turn it on, every time an email comes in that meets the criteria, it'll automatically format it. So once again, I'll pick on the View menu, and I'll pick on View Settings. And I'll pick on Conditional Formatting. Now, there's some that are already there that you can, you can manage those. But let's go ahead and add a new one. So I'll call it DoD, and you pick a font. And within here, I can pick a color and everything else. So I'll pick on red. Maybe we'll make it bold so they really stand out. But what you really have to do is put in a condition. So I'll pick on condition, and I'm going to say search for the words DoD in the, or let's say from, I could say DoD, okay? So that's going to be my condition. And I'll pick on OK. So if it's going to be from the DoD, then those should turn red. Let's see if that's the case. Now I'm going to scroll down. Let me sort it by the from, and let's see if that occurred. Yup. See how the ones that have DoD in the from are going to be in red. So that's called a conditional format. It helps you really stand out. So if I scroll down, we should have clearly the ones in red really stand out. Let's try that one more time. If I have any that say Office 365, I want those to be in blue. So I'll pick on the View Settings, Conditional Formatting. We'll add a new one. I'll call it Office 365. And for the font this time, I'll make it blue and bold. But the really important part is the condition. I'll say I'll say Office 365. And right away, you can see that those turned blue. So obviously, the blue ones are Office 365, the red ones are DoD, and they really help those emails stand out. And that's called conditional formatting. Now, if you want to turn that off, you can do that as well. So I'll pick on the View menu, and we'll pick on View Settings. I'll pick on Conditional Formatting. You can have as many of those rules as you need. And then if I come down here, I can then check those or uncheck those. So if I uncheck them, they will all turn off. And you can also delete them over here. So you can activate them by checking them, or you can uncheck them. At this point, I'm going to click on OK. Now all of my emails should go back to a normal color, as you can see, because I unchecked the conditional formatting. Okay. Now, I talked about how to sort, and then we did the multiple sort. I talked about how to group the emails. Let's talk about how to find the emails. So when you're in your inbox, or just about any other folder in Outlook, we can always come over here and you do a search. So I'll type in the word Microsoft. And you can search for one word or a phrase. Now this time, it's going to show me all of the emails that have the word Microsoft either in the body or the sender. See how this one's in the sender or the subject or in the body of the email. This is probably in the body. Yeah, see how the word Microsoft is in the body. So I can just search for any word up there. Let's search for Bill. And then it'll show any way to have the word Bill there. All right? So we can always do that. Now, just like we could do an advanced sort, we can also do an advanced search. Let's see how we can do an advanced filter. Now, to turn your filter off, I'm going to come over here and pick on this X, and then everything is back again. Some people forget to do that sometimes. You want to make sure you click on that X to get all your emails back again. Let's see how we can do an advanced filter. So I'll pick on the View menu, and we'll do View Settings again. And then over here, it says the word filter. Then you can go a lot further with the filter. So you can search for certain words, either in the subject or in the subject and the message body or the frequently used fields. You can do a search by who sent it to you or who the email was sent to. And then also you can do it by a date range. So in this case, if I could say received, then I can say yesterday, today, the last 7 weeks, last month, this month, okay? So this first screen gives you some filters. Then I'll pick on more choices, and you can go even further. In a little while, I'll talk about the categories. You can search on those. Now, in this case, you can search for the ones that are read or unread. You can search for items with attachments or no attachments. You can say, if they're marked as important or high or low importance. The ones that are flagged. I'll show you what that means pretty soon. And then we can also find it by the size. So let's see if I have any that are greater than, now they're talking about kilobytes there. So if it were more than 500 kilobytes, how about 100? More than 100 kilobytes, then that would start to be pretty big. So let's even try these. So I want to find any of the emails that are greater than 100 kilobytes. And there's a couple of them you can see by the size over here. All right, so maybe at that point those have attachments, or maybe you want to get rid of those or archive those or put those into a folder. Now the filter is still on. Let's go back into the advanced filter screen. So I'll pick on the View menu, and I'll pick on View Settings, and then I'll pick on the word filter again. Now I'm going to say Clear All. That one was under More Choices, and I said the size, Now, let me show you how you can go even further than that. I'll pick on the word Advanced. With this, you can put multiple criteria in. So, for example, let's say if I want the from that contain the word Microsoft. Now, you're going to come over here and you pick on the word Add to the List. so that it's up here. Then I can keep on adding more and more. And then I want to have the subject contain the word billing. So I want the from to contain the word Microsoft, and then I want the subject to contain the word billing. And I'm going to pick on add to list there. So when I pick on the advanced tab, then you can go a lot further. You can have as much criteria as you need. So I'm going to click on OK. We'll click on OK. Now notice how all the emails have the word Microsoft in the from, and they all have the word billing in the subject. So now I can just deal with those as a group. So maybe I would move those to a special folder. So these are all great ways to manage your emails. The sorts, the filter, maybe that group by, maybe the conditional formatting to help you, get a handle of your emails. And then maybe from there you can put them in a folder or delete them or whatever you have to do. Now this time the filter is still on. To get all of my records back again, I'll pick on the view and I'll pick on view settings, and then I'll pick on the word filter. Now I can keep on going with this, or I can say clear all, and that'll bring everything back again. Okay, good. Now everything is back. Now a couple things that I mentioned recently, I want to talk about those now. I want to talk about the categories and also how to flag the email for follow-up. Let's do the categories first. So now you can make up your own categories, and I'll show you how to do that. So if I look at that email, notice how there's a column that says categories there. Now I'm going to right click on that box, and then you'll probably see it comes with a lot of categories. It probably comes things with the yellow category and the orange category and things like that. Let me show you how you can make up your own. You come down here and you say all categories. And then let's say I'm going to add a new one. So I'll type in invoices. And let's say that's going to be green. And now you can see that this email is going to be part of the invoice category. Now an email can be part of more than one category. You can pick as many as you wanted to. So I can add new categories, rename them, delete the ones that are there. So you can make up your own list basically. So I'll click on OK. And now notice how as soon as I click on that email, you see the green bar, and then it tells you the category, and then it shows up over here as well. So it's just another way to classify your emails. Now I can sort on that column as well. So if I pick on the word categories up here, then I see some that I have as red. Then I have some different ones. Now it's sorted by the actual category. All right, so those are interesting ways to manage your emails. I can put things into categories. And then there's the one I just made, the one that was called invoices. Let's mark another one with invoices. So I'll click on this, right click, and I'll pick on invoices. Now let's sort by that again. And then you can actually see it's already sorted by that. So all the ones with the invoices are together. So that would be the main purpose of the categories. Now, I like those a lot. Now, by the way, the categories that you use for the email will be the same categories that the calendar app in Outlook can use, and it's the same categories that the contacts would use, and it's the same categories that the tasks would use. They all use the same categories once you set those up. Now, another thing I like to do with the emails is to flag them for follow-up. So I'm going to sort it by the receive date. And you can see I did categorize that one as with an invoice. So now this one, I have to do something with it, okay? So I have to respond to Karen. So I want to mark that as a follow-up. What I'll do is maybe just put the flag on over here. And then I could just sort by the ones that have the flag. You see, now I know I have to do something with this. Now, it's kind of interesting. When we mark the email with a flag, it actually puts it into the task list as well. Let's find an example. Okay, so this one says Office 365 Message Center, and I'm going to click on the little flag over there. Now, I can sort on that column here in the email, and that's going to tell me I have to do something with that. But it also puts it into the tasks. Watch. I'm going to come over here and pick on the three dots, and I'll pick on the application that's called Tasks within Outlook. And then, well, I can have my tasks, or I can have the to-do list. And let's see. There's the one that I just made with the Office 365. Okay? So it's kind of interesting when we mark it with the email. When we flag it with the email, it'll show up here on the tasks as well. Let's go back to our email app. Now, some people like to use the different color flags. Like if I right-click on one of the flags, then there's different color emails. I don't really use those. I know some people do. To me, the colors are pretty close together. It's hard to really distinguish those. What I'll do is, if that has to be followed up on a certain date, then I'm going to add a reminder. Okay? So what I do is I right-clicked on the flag, and I'm going to say add a reminder. Then I can make it follow up at a certain date. So let's say I'm going to follow up, and then you can put the date and time. So I want to say today's date at 11:55 p.m., 11:55 a.m. So I want that to kind of remind me right before the end of the session here. So we should see that live in about 20 minutes. So I use the flags all the time. I really do. However, I don't really use the different color flags. What I do is I add a reminder. So at the time that I'm supposed to follow up with that email, then it will remind me. I can set that, into the future. In this case, I put it for today's date and 11:55. So that should show up in about 20 minutes or so. Now, if I mark that as complete, then the task on the task will show up as complete as well. So let's find one that I would like to mark as complete. Well, this one was from March 22nd. I hope that I finished that one. So I'm going to right-click on that, and I'll say mark it as complete. Notice how the flag went into a check mark like that. Now, I'm sure that one is marked as complete on the tasks as well. Let's see. I'm going to pick on the three dots. I'll pick on the word tasks. And we can see, well, this one is only showing the ones that are outstanding. So I'll change the view here. In this case, I'll pick on the current view, and I'll say all tasks. And then we can see that a lot of the ones are, like here's the one I just marked complete right here. Okay? So now, on the other hand, if I mark it complete here in the task, it'll mark it complete on the email as well. So it says the weekly Office Digest from 6/25. So I'm going to right-click on that and pick on Mark Complete. You see how it just went to the check mark over here in the task, but if I go back to the email application, it should have marked that one as complete here as well. There it is. So you can see how that was marked as complete. All right, so I do use the flags a lot. Just come over here and you click on that flag. Now, if I wanted that to be a follow-up, then I'll say add a reminder there as well. So those come up a lot. I use those quite a bit. So now let me show you a way to automatically handle your emails. It's called a rule. Now, first of all, before we do the rules, let's say we set up some folders here. So I'm going to set up a folder that says from my boss. To add a new folder, I'm going to right-click on my email address. This is one way. I know there's other ways to do a new folder. And then we'll say new folder. And we'll call that one from, let's try that again. I'm going to right-click on my email address, and I'll say new folder. And I'll say from my boss. Now I have a folder that's called from my boss, right? Obviously it's empty right now. Now I want that to be actually up here among my favorites, because maybe that's a folder that we use all the time. So I'm going to right click where it says from my boss, and I'll say show in favorites. Good. Now that's going to be up there, right? Obviously right now that email, that folder is empty. However, if I pick on an email from the inbox, I could just drag it over into that folder. Let's say every time I get an email from this person, which I mean, I know it happens to be me right now, but let's say I get an email from this person, it's going to automatically put it into the folder called From My Boss. This is a great way to manage your emails. These are called rules. So let's see how we set up a rule. Now, you right-click on the email in question. So I'm going to right-click on this email, and I'll pick on the word rules, and then I'm going to say create a rule. When you do it this way, it should inherit some things from that email. Good. So I'm going to say from that person, and now you can also say the subject contains a certain word, who it was sent to. Now, in a minute, I'll show you some of the advanced options, and you can go a lot further. But right now, I want to say if it's from that person, we're going to move it to a folder. Now, in this case, I'll say select the folder, and then I'll pick on the folder that's called From My Boss. So I'll click on OK. Now, I'm going to make it so that the emails that are already in the inbox are now going to be moved to the From My Boss folder because of this rule. So you set this up. I'll click on OK. Now it says run this rule now on messages already on the current folder. So watch what's going to happen. I'm going to click on OK. This email that says Tom, the PC trainer, that will be moved to the folder that's called From My Boss. And that's exactly what happened. Notice how it's not in the email, it's not in the inbox anymore. Now it's in the folder that's called From My Boss, and that has all the ones that were from that certain person. So now let me show you how you go. Every time, by the way, you get an email from that person, it'll automatically put that email into your inbox. Now let's go further with our rules. Let's find another example. This time I'm going to make a folder that's called Microsoft, or I already have a folder that's called Microsoft over here, and I'm going to make that into my favorites. So I'm going to right click and I'll say show in favorites. Good. So let's say every time I get an email from if it says Office 365 or if it says Microsoft in the, how about if it says Office 365 in the title of the email, I want that to move to the Microsoft folder. So we'll make a new rule this time. This time I'll show you the advanced options. So in this case, I'll pick on the Home tab, and I'll pick on the word rules, and I'm going to say create a new rule. Now this time I'm going to say advanced options. Okay. Now with the advanced options, you can go a lot further with it. So now you can do many, many different things here. So I can say where the name in the CC box is certain, is sent only to me, sent to Tomfragale. All right. In this case, we're going to say from, and I could even click that to get a different email address, but that'll be fine. If it's from Microsoft Office 365 support. Now, I can choose many options here to get the exact ones that I'm looking for. Now, I'll pick on next. Now, once the email meets the criteria, there's a lot more that you can do with it now because we're in the advanced options. So I want to move it to a certain folder, but I also want to keep it in the inbox. So you can choose to move it to that folder or copy it to the folder or do all these different things. I'm going to say move a copy to the specified folder. Now, when you're on the advanced options, you have to make sure that you fill in the details down below. So I'll pick on the word specified, and I want that to go to the Microsoft folder. So if it says the word specified down here, you would want to check that, click it, and then pick the proper folder or the proper item. All right, so good. If it's from that person, it's going to move to the Microsoft folder automatically. Now, by the way, I can pick more than one of these at the same time. I just picked in the word next, and now you can even add exceptions. So I can say, except if this is true, or if it's marked as important, or any of these other exceptions. But you can use those, or you can skip those. I'm going to skip those. And I'm going to run the rule for the messages that are already in the inbox. So what's going to happen now is the one that says Microsoft Office 365 and any others that say Microsoft Office 365, they're now going to be moved to the Microsoft folder. Actually, it's going to be copied there. So it'll keep it in the inbox and make a copy in the Microsoft folder as well. So the way I did it, I said move it. So I'm going to go ahead and move a copy. And now let's see if it worked. If I go to the Microsoft folder, now it has the emails that say Microsoft Office on there. Okay? So now anytime I get an email that meets this criteria, it'll automatically move it to those folders or do whatever you do within the rules. So there's two ways to set up your rules. You can either right-click on the email and then pick on the word rule and then pick on create rule from there. When you do it that way, notice how it inherits some of the information from the email. The other way to make a new rule is I pick in the word home and I pick in the word rules there, and then I said create rule. Even that one picks up information from the current email. And then I can say advanced options and then go a lot further with it. I use this all the time to help me manage my emails. Now, if you want to see the rules that you already have, then I would pick on the home menu. I'll pick on the word rules, and then I'm going to pick on the word manage rules and alerts. And then you can see the ones that you've set up, and then from there you can change them or delete them as you need to. So I think the rules are a great feature in Excel. So we talked about the attachments, talked about how to flag the emails, the categories. Let's talk about the junk email. So notice how we have, we have the junk email folder. And things can automatically be moved into the junk email folder. Here's how you can decide what's going to be moved into your junk email folder. There's other ways to go to where I'm going to go to right now, but in this case, I'll pick on the File menu, and I'll pick on Options. Now, Outlook has many, many options, as you can see. There's options for the mail application, the calendar, the people, the tasks, and so on. Let's go to the mail application. And then you have a lot of things you can do with your email, as you can see. Now, at this time, even on this section, you could say there's a feature that's called Cleanup, which I can show you as well. But actually, we're going to close that window, and I want to go back to the Home tab for the inbox. Okay. Now, this is what I was looking for. So I'll pick on the Home tab, and I'm going to click on this pull down, and I can manage my junk mail options. All right. Or I can actually block the sender at that point if it's somebody who's just always spamming you. Or if you say never block them, it'll automatically go to an inbox if it's in the spam folder or the junk folder. Let's see what we can do about our junk email options. This is kind of another way to automatically handle emails. So I have mine on the low filter. So it says move the most obvious junk email to the junk email folder. So I could have no automatic filtering, low, high, or you can, let's say, only emails from the people that you've added to your safe list will actually be added to your inbox. So you get to control how this is going to be set up. Here is how to set up your safe senders. I picked on the word safe sender there, and I pick on add. And then the safe recipients. Email from addresses or email sent to certain addresses. So, and then I can have blocked senders. That means it's automatically going to go into the junk folder. if some say international, yeah, you know, a lot of times if we get emails from international addresses, many times, not all the time, they could be spam. So you go into this window and you can really manage your junk folder. Let me show you how we got into that. We picked on the home tab of the email application. I come over here, I'm looking for this one. Click on that pull down, and then we go into junk email options. You can decide, you know, how it's automatically going to filter those. And those will make a difference. You'll see the low makes it, if you pick on high, obviously you'll have a lot more that go into your junk folder. And then I could add safe senders or safe recipients and so on. So the junk folder could be another tool in managing your inbox. So I talked about how to set up your folders, of course. You could have as many folders as you wanted to. Now, watch again how we're going to move a folder into the favorites. Let's say I have this folder that's called Notes and Ideas. I'm going to right-click on that, and I'll pick on Show in Favorites. And now it's up here. So you pick and choose which ones you want to put in your favorites so they always show up there. Otherwise, I can have as many folders as I want, but if they're not in the favorites, you have to scroll up and down over here. Now, if you have the rules, of course, that could move an email automatically into the folder based on the criteria. Or, of course, you could just pick up an email and just drag it into there. Or you can right-click on your email and you say, Move, and then you'll have your folders over there. The folders, to me, are invaluable because they help me organize my emails. Like I said at the beginning, the only thing I really want on my inbox are things that I haven't read yet or things that need my attention. Okay? So let's see if we have any other older emails. So I'm going to pick on the word received, and probably the ones from January of this year. I'm sure I'm done with those. So in this case, here's what I'll do. I'll make a subfolder. I'm going to right-click on my email address, and I'll say New Folder, and I'll call this one 2018. Now, what I want to do there is have a subfolder. One way to make a subfolder is to make the folder right from there. So I'm going to right-click on that, and I'll say a new folder, and I'll say January. Okay? So now, notice how I can collapse 2018 with the arrow, or if I hit the arrow again, it'll re-expand that. So now I'll pick up the ones from January of 2018. I have it sorted by the receive date. I'm going to click on this one, hold down my Shift key, and then pick on this one. And then I'm just going to pick it up and drag it over into the January folder like that. Good. Now that number, it's not the number of emails that are in that folder. It's the number of unread emails that are in that folder. So if I click on that January, yeah, see the ones that are unread are going to be, in this case, in a different color. So the number that you see next to the folder is not the number of emails. It's going to be the number of unread emails that are in that folder. Now, let me show you a quick way. In this case, they added something new into our email. Notice over here, I can move the emails from up here as well, right? But if I pick on the File menu, under File, it talks about there's different things we can do here. So I'll pick on the word Tools, and then it says Mailbox Cleanup. Let's see what that says. Mailbox Cleanup. Okay, so you can use this tool to manage the size of your mailbox. I could find items older than 90 days, find items larger than, so many kilobytes. All right, so this is a really nice tool. You should go through these and see if some of these can help you. So, I can find items older than so many days, and then once I find those, so it's kind of another way to get the filter going on. Auto archive, there is an archive folder and then you can auto archive based on certain criteria there. So I wanted to make sure you saw that. I picked on the File menu, and I picked on Tools, and then I said Mailbox Cleanup. And then you can pick and choose which options that you'd like to see here. Now let's go back to the Tools again, and it says Empty Deleted Items folder. So that's just another way to empty your deleted items. Let me show you something. If something is in the deleted items, it still can be recovered. So I don't have any there, but if you ever see anything in your deleted items folder, you can still recover it and maybe move that to a different folder. However, once your IT team might empty that out automatically every night or every week. I've seen that happen. But I can right click on that deleted items folder, and I can say empty that folder. Or the other way to do that was under the File menu, and then we said Tools, and then Empty Deleted Items. Let's see what this one says, Clean Up Old Items. Now look at this. This is that reminder that I set earlier in the class so that it'll remind me that we're getting towards the end. So let's go back to that reminder. With the reminder, we can snooze it for so many minutes or even longer than that. I'm actually want to acknowledge that reminder, so at this time I'll pick on the word dismiss. Otherwise I could have snoozed it. So I'm going to come over here, and if I say Tools and then Clean Up Old Items, then I can say archive items older than such and such a date. Let's say if it's older than March 1st. How about March 31st? Okay, and then I can pick which folder is going to be archived. Now, it gives you the location of the archive. It actually puts it onto your computer. So that way it takes it completely away from your email and then puts it onto your computer. So that's an interesting idea. All right. Now, I showed you how to do it, but I'm actually not going to do it. All those were under the File menu, and I picked on Tools, and you can see what's going on with that. This is also where I can set up the Manage Rules. That's another place to do those. Now remember, go into your options, and here, if I pick on the Mail tab, this is all ways to manage your email as well with different options. I'm going to close this window, and I'm going to go back to my inbox. So hopefully you saw some great ideas on how to manage your inbox and kind of get it nice and clean for the new year. I gave you some great ideas to do that. We talked about sorting and the advanced sorting. We talked about filter and the advanced filter, rules, how to handle attachments, flagging your emails, categories, looking for old emails, managing your junk folder. Talked about the reading pane and folders, making them favorite folders, and also conditional formatting.